August 19th, 2024. The time is approximately 3:02. And we have currently all commissioners present except for Commissioner Banks with an excused absence. We have City Manager Charles Rudd. Steve, your last name?
Compliment.
I know, I'm so sorry. And we have Karen, our clerk. And let's get started. He's not here, let's go ahead and if we would stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. We also have our Dave and Keegan here also, if you would make note of that too, Karen. Today is to discuss our enterprise fund budget.
Budgets.
Budgets.
For gas, water, wastewater, and solid waste. And we're gonna start with the gas budget. That one, Dave had to do some work to get it to get the revenues equals expenditures. So he was talking also about potential rate increase, the way we can increase our revenue to try to continue to right side these three funds. We have a 5% increase automatically on water, that was approved previously, and we 5% on wastewater as well.
We still have to pass a resolution, all right, to do that?
Well, you passed a schedule, was a year or two ago, to do 15 to 15, then a series of 5% increases
But
automatically.
last year, we still passed a resolution with the new fees, so I think we still have to implement that resolution.
Well,
We'll have to find out, we'll have to ask and see if we have to do it every year. That's onerous on you. We have to do that, it's not a resolution. Because
usually,
we did approve that, and that was a recommendation, it wasn't our recommendation, it was a recommendation based on the study that was done, independent study.
so we have those increase scheduled for natural gas. We did an increase 2 years ago, that was just sort of one of our, a flat fee sort of. Yeah. Dave, I'll turn it, before we go through the budget, you wanna go through the budget first and then talk about the increase?
You want to go through the whole budget or just what I'm talking about increasing?
Well, what we did with the general fund is we kind of went through and just pointed out areas where there's a significant change from the previous year. I'll come down, I'll bring expenditure side.
So we're gonna start with gas, yes, Commissioner Divido?
Yeah, if somebody could just point me to what page gas starts on.
I don't think they marked
Look
the
at the
page.
top, it'll say wastewater fund, or it'll say water. It'll say-
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
Okay, I
That's
see.
gas fund,
Thank you.
page 1.
It's after solid waste. Yeah, it's right after solid waste, so.
Do you remember anything specifically changing greatly over
As
last year?
far as expenditures?
Yeah.
It happens.
Well, on the expenditure side, well, let's go over here.
Dave, you're gonna have to get up on the mic.
Yeah,
okay, sorry.
Please. Thank you, sir.
I'll just scroll as you mentioned.
Okay. All right, as far as salaries and everything, on the expenditure side, the real, of course, I'm not gonna be going in order. As far as gas sales and purchases, on the purchase side, we're actually gonna drop that $15,000 because the price of gas keeps dropping and dropping. Our profit margin stays the same, even if we're buying it for a penny, our profit margin doesn't change. So I dropped that, I believe, by $15,000. That's line 57 on page 4. Under natural gas purchases, we were at $205,000. I dropped it down to 190, and 190 may be a little on the high side if these prices keep holding where they are. Of course, that'll depend sure after the election, whichever way it goes, it'll start to go back up, but that may still hold off 6 months out of this budget, so we'll still be doing fine. That was a major increase, or a decrease there, not actually an increase. Let's see. Gasoline, we are going to decrease that by $3,500. That's gasoline, not gas. Because prices, they've been going up and down, but our newer trucks get better fuel mileage, so we felt like we could drop that some.
And that's on line
54,
54.
excuse me, line 54, page 4.
And it also shows, it also looks like we're breaking out tires and oil separately
Yes.
and diesel fuel.
Yeah, there was a lot of things I wanted to
Yeah.
really split out because it's just a one line, like my biggest line on expenses would be, other than natural gas purchase, would be, let me find it here. Operating supplies, which is line 53. That line there, I mean, we're at 30,000. Well, Steve actually wanted to lower that. Someone said, no, we can't lower that, but I'll find the amount you wanted to lower it somewhere else on the other side and we'll bring it over. But we can't lower that anymore because will probably go over that a little bit because my cost of materials are going up.
And that's for like pipe, so put in lines and that kind of stuff.
Gas meters, pipe, just about anything. It all falls in that line right
Oh,
there.
that's,
So that's almost double from, it looks like, from the 2023.
Yes,
Yeah.
prices have gone up, which I will show you when it increased later on as to what I want to propose there.
still not much concern.
As far as anything major, I mean, they may have gone up or down just a little bit, but those two were the ones I was really concerned about. Now, as far as the grant line down there on line 62, that is a proposed amount because they're actually going to split that grant into two pieces. So the one we actually have, but we don't have it in our hand yet, that's $1.5 million. But the two of them together were supposed to be about 73 million. Or not 73.
It's not in the budget right now.
300,000. But that one could be as much as 7 million plus by itself. So it could actually come out closer to $9 million. But we haven't been awarded that one yet.
And-
We're waiting.
And once we're awarded it, we would just have to do a bunch of amendment to that in there,
Yeah.
Right.
because we can't.
So we don't have the million in here either, yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, I think it's a little confusing when we have those, like this last year, having that line in there,
Mhm.
and then it not coming to fruition, it made everything look very.
Sure.
It was really hard to look at the big picture, because that was thrown in there, I had to sit there and keep subtracting it out to see what the
Exactly.
actual expenses were, so.
Mayor,
Yes.
could I follow up on that? This is, this is what I would call, an income that is completely separate from revenues. It's what, I guess, if I was looking at a state budget document, I would call non-recurring revenue. It's a grant. And this is something for maybe, our finance director, as well as you to think about. I don't know if there's a way to footnote it or asterisk when you have the total revenues and the total operational expense, to footnote it and make it clear that the grant funds are, a non-recurring revenue for such and such a period. So that it's not, as Commissioner Lori said,
There was everything else.
so hard to conceptualize what our normal operating budget is
Sure.
from the extraordinary. And I don't know exactly the way to do that, but I think it would be helpful, and particularly sometimes when the general public looks at it and they look at, they look at like the total, the bottom line, and it's confusing to them also.
I would say that that was gonna be my suggestion too, that somehow or another, either that or else we extract it out of the operating budget and put it as a separate, only because it's confusing for the general public, and then it looks like we're
Not me, yeah, we're way off.
like we're way off, so it skews our numbers, not that we're trying to do anything with those numbers, but it skews the numbers for something that we're still not positive. I mean, I know we're hoping for, I still feel like that brought me some concern as well, so.
On my paperwork, I was doing a different color ink. You know, then at the bottom I have your black line, but then that additional, there'll be another color.
Because it's
Just
really,
so it catches your eyes, like you're not doing that and you're actually gonna see it. But
because it's really something that we don't have much control over, and it's outside of your normal operating. If we can somehow, I don't know what the best way would be, but it just would help.
I feel the $1.5 million will definitely be here probably by the end of this month or well, when I say the end of next month, it could just squeak in by a day or two to this budget we're on now to the next or whatever when it falls in there, but.
And would we be including that, in would we have to amend this current fiscal year, or are we just gonna wait with that, or?
I
I'm
just
hoping it
don't
won't
hold
come-
up.
Hold it
Don't deliver
till
until
October 1st.
Yeah, because I mean, you're not spending it, so, as long as
Just
we,
mess us up.
yeah, because that would be, either way, we're gonna have to amend budget to put it in there, so.
But as far as my expense lines, those are the only things that, you know, are really concerning me as far as the other side. As I say, we're gonna make money on our gas sales, but it's not gonna cost us as much money to buy the gas to resell it. Because right now, I think today gas is at 19 cents a therm. So if we put in our markup, if we had no carriage charge, we might be at 99 cents. I mean, it's dirt cheap, but it can change. First time somebody shoots off something somewhere, it goes up 25 cents.
How high did you get after Russia invaded Ukraine? It was up to,
It spiked a little bit, but it depends on where it fell in the year, whether it fell in summer or winter.
well, there's just a lot there, it was very, very up.
But what you can see is our gas budget is bare bones. It's not, we're not putting aside money to offer incentives to switch to gas and all that sort of thing. So Dave's put together some numbers, some areas we can increase revenue a little bit. Dave, if you'll go through that.
Right, if you look on this page, as you see, it's the one, two-color ink there. On the top section, I put our current minimum charges. This is for each customer. If you're a gas customer, if you're residential, you're paying $15 a month on one of those customers. If you're commercial, you're paying $18 a month. So what that broke down to was $19,800 a month, which came out to $237 and $237,600 per year. So if we go down to option one, if we raise our residential rates from $15 to $16, and then if we raise the commercial from 18 to 20, that would give us an additional income of $16,800 per year. If you look at option two, if you go up to the residential to $17, and you go to leave the commercial at 20 on that increase, that's an additional $31,200. Then the final one, if we raise the residential from 15 to 18 and the commercial from 18 to 21, that would be an additional $46,800. We only have 100 commercial accounts, so it's not gonna change a whole lot there. It's the residential accounts, that's where we got the most of. We have about 1,200 commercial accounts.
Where are we,
Of residential.
yeah, so, yeah,
You know, why are we not putting a plan together to have people, to put some incentives out there to have people, you know, come and get our gas runs? I go around and there's people that have LP gas still hooked up, and all this stuff going on, that it's money that's really out of our pocket because we've not somehow suggested that we have a better plan and we have a better product. I mean, this is a real simple thing, just to keep raising it. Why do we not put together a plan to help incentivize, I'm gonna say it wrong,
Market.
but market our gas?
Market.
Part of the problem is, in the old days, we put stuff together. You got an LP tank, I'm gonna put something in your mailbox. Can't do that anymore, it's against the law. You go up to people's door, they don't recognize you, you're liable to get a gun stuck in your face. I mean, we're dealing with.
Takes an increase in a budget to market and to provide incentives cost us money. So typically
So
you
what's the
offer
normal-
$500 to switch over to water
What's the
tank.
normal cost of customer, like I'm a customer, so how many dollars, I mean, I could go home and probably figure it all out, but I haven't
What do you
done
want to
that.
figure out there?
Well, how much do I give you every year for the whole entire year to use your gas?
I think you have a standard, well, no, you have a tankless hot water heater,
Yes, I
you
do.
have a generator.
No generator.
Okay. You have a cook stove?
Yes.
Okay, so you're probably using $25, maybe $30 max a month. So that's
Okay.
$360 a year. Now, if you had LP, it would probably cost you 80. Because LP is anywhere from $4 a gallon to $6 a gallon,
And they use LP to run the, hot water tanks?
everything.
Generators.
If it can run on natural gas, it can run on
It can
LP.
run on that.
It's just that LP is delivered to you, it's not pressurized through the ground, the truck brings it to you. They're gonna charge you, I've seen as high as
Well, I
$7.
just need to ask these questions to start my
Oh, that's
mind.
fine. That's fine.
Settle my
Are
mind.
you
It's
okay
fine.
with that?
So it's about $30 a month.
Okay,
More.
Yeah.
It's gonna say, so you're paying about $30 a month as for natural gas, that's $360 a year. That's
So
about
basically though, if I did LP, I'd only pay about 80 for the same type of service.
per month.
Per month.
Per
80
month.
per month, okay, that's, I just wanted to make
You're gonna
sure.
be up around $1,000.
Okay. See, that to me is a pretty big incentive to kind of start trying to hook people up.
We did that one time, we made a bunch of flyers, they were actually nice cards that we used through the gas industry itself as a sales pitch. We had 2 people call out of 500, 2.
Now, on our gas bills, there's nothing we can do on our utility bills that would suggest to, if you want to hook up, call this number.
Yeah, we could do it, we're not doing inserts with our bills when we send them out, with utility bills.
And that would only be for our Crescent City customers, because they're the ones that are gonna get
Right.
the water. And see, that's another issue, it's gonna be hard for you to see what your, well, I've never looked at a water and gas combination bill. See, when I started here, I always got separate bills.
But there are people that, most all of our people, I don't know how many that is, but most all of our people, I believe, are hooked up to our water system, but not necessarily hooked up to our gas system.
Right. And they may be LP customers, as you're saying, so yes, we can.
We could be more aggressive in our marketing.
I think that's what I'm trying to say.
At one time, I had Herman going around to some of the doors, but there was more negative than positive there. People, why are you bothering me? They work night shifts or
We need
whatever.
direct.
What you have to show,
That's just,
what you have to show, and I know we run into this out in the county, is number one, do we have the infrastructure there to accommodate, like, I know family that just had to go to they both went to LP tanks.
Mhm.
Because we didn't have the infrastructure out there.
Right.
So if we do market it, we have to show how this could be a savings, because they've got to have somebody put the LP tank in, they've got to buy the LP tank, we have to do all of that, they have to pay for the service to have it filled, and then how much that's costing them in comparison. So you have to show them, rather than just say, hey, come hook up with us and here's your incentive, you have to show them why it's beneficial. And unfortunately, when you're dealing with customers, you have to tell them. You just have to tell them that this is why it's beneficial to you. And so if we did any marketing, I think that if we're gonna spend the money to do that, we need to make sure that it's effective and that we've done our homework on that and we've shown them why it's more beneficial to them to switch over.
And
once upon a time, back when we were in the other city hall, we used to sell the appliances. And so we had the appliances, we would give you rebates or incentives, that cost us money. And, we have to figure out, you guys you're not in the business of appliances anymore at all.
well, we don't have a building anymore. So we're down here, so and the door
No,
store.
no, I'm just saying that was something that we used to do.
Yeah.
And it was expensive, I don't think we ever really made money on that. But that is something that you see in other gas systems, they'll have incentives for you to install a service and get a gas stove or something like that. But that
What hurt us the most on that when we were selling appliances, one of our suppliers, they had a great deal on water heaters. We bought like a couple hundred of them, but not at one time, 50. 2 years into that, the design had a default. The manufacturer said, fine, there's a default there, we acknowledge it. They wouldn't send us the parts. It had to go through the customer only. The customer had to pay for them and they were reimbursed. Well, the customers weren't gonna do that, and they weren't gonna wait 2 or 3 weeks without any hot water.
Yeah.
So I went at, they wanted the electric hot water heater. I've got a whole file on all that. After that point, that's when we stopped selling appliances.
Well,
Plus, we moved, so we
you
had to.
don't have to show where everything like we did.
Commissioner Vito?
Yes, and thank you, Mayor. This is a complicated area, I have a couple of different questions.
It's fine.
So, one thing I want to try and be clear on, and it's a little harder to see with that wonderful 7 million plus grant item in there. So what is our shortfall this year in operating the gas department between operating revenues and operating expense?
No,
We got to zero. We zeroed it out.
we're zero.
Okay.
Current fiscal year though? Not, not talking about budget, but like right now, right? So what you're saying?
We just, any little battery fat that we had, it was trimmed out. We were
For
down-
next year, talking about
we
this
can't
year,
trim anymore.
No, I'm talking about our proposed budget.
yeah, it's
You said it
revenue
has-
equals expenditures.
Revenue equals expenditures, and so how did we get there? We got there by just trimming expenditures where you could.
Yes,
Okay, so
and the
hold on.
biggest thing was the natural gas purchasing. The cost keeps going down, so last year we dropped about 10,000. This year we're gonna drop 15,000 there, so.
Okay, so if we did not have the drop in natural gas price.
We haven't touched the price of natural gas at all. It hasn't been.
We'd have been in
for
trouble.
About 5 years.
Okay, what I'm saying is, I think Charles just answered it. If the price that it cost us to purchase natural gas was not going down, our budget would not be, it's at zero, would not balance. Okay, so my next question is, there's a point to this. So we have various options for increasing revenues by raising minimum charges.
Right.
The one point of inquiry that I have, and I don't know that any of us can answer this today, it's just something to be considered, is at some point, I worry, and I think that the mayor mentioned doing our homework, I worry that increasing charges at some point could be a disincentive.
If it keeps going up, yes.
Right, and so I think we need to factor that in. To Commissioner Burton's inquiry and the discussion we had about marketing, I think those are excellent points. I know FGU has said they have marketing materials. Do they have any marketing campaign packages? And the reason I ask that is, you have mentioned leaving flyers on or in mailboxes, I think you can still put them on, and having an employee go door to door. I mean, marketing today is pretty much digital, I think. Somebody has to do it, there's a cost to it. Do you know if FGU has anything like that?
I'm sure they could come up with some, but it's gonna have a nice price to it.
Well, I mean, we would need to know what the price was.
It will probably be over $20,000.
Well, we can't just make that judgment. We have to have them come in and say, this is what it's gonna cost, so that we can make
I have some of that information in my office, but it's probably 3 years old.
well, we need to.
And with that, we also have to keep in mind with what you've said, that, our ROI on that too is, if we're gonna take something like that on, we gotta make sure that, we get what we need out of that. That's a lot of money, $20,000 for a thing like
Just, we
that.
have 2
Right,
rooms,
so
we're not doing anything down here south of town. So we're just sitting on those waiting.
Okay, Mayor, if I could,
Yes.
to follow up on that, so if it is in the neighborhood of $20,000, who knows, maybe they have a small cities package. I think your point that we have to be careful, that we have infrastructure available is important. Maybe the top areas to market to are the ones where we have the gas lines. But even if we can't do targeted marketing, we have Facebook. I mean, you can put things on Facebook that literally go everywhere. You just have to have a message, and I don't know if we can take FGU prepared materials, or who would prepare, the issues we've discussed, like cost benefit. But if we can market ourselves, I guess the one thing to figure out is, how much revenue comes in. I think this is what Mr. Burt was asking. What's kind of the revenue increase per customer? That was what you were really targeting. So all those things would be good, but I think somehow just being here, it seems like we are passing up, at least the opportunity to do digital marketing. That if we could do it without, a significant materials cost. So,
And Facebook marketing is not expensive, and you can put in there the areas you wanna reach, and you can even set a price for each day. Let's say you only wanna spend $5 or $10, it'll send it out to 300 people or whatever. So I mean, it's definitely worth an experiment to see, and you can really tailor it to certain areas, and it's really inexpensive. I was doing it when I was running for office.
Yeah, we would definitely want to do targeted area only, because we don't want to spend the money for more infrastructure, because that costs money. And now, we have another issue, we've lost our directional board group that does all our concrete driveways, roadways and all that. He's out of business now. He sold his business to another guy, he doesn't want anything to do with us. He's talking to show up, $10,000 to show up, he wants stuff that isn't any less than 1,000 feet. So a 50-foot driveway, he's not interested. So that hurts us. But he also will hurt Keith, because he uses the same one. So, and we're not gonna go out cutting driveways, sorry, we're not doing any of that.
So do y'all have any feelings about these options? Are they?
I was looking at the percentage increase, if we're looking at option one, that's a 6.67% for residential, 11.12% for commercial. Option two is 13.3% for residential, 11.12 for commercial. Option three is 20% residential. I think that's way too much, just all of a sudden a 20% increase. Is my opinion. Option two to me kind of, I think is digestible, but.
Yeah, with FGU standards, they were saying that we're way in the commercial, they were up wanting us to actually go to 25 per customer for commercial.
And I just think that we need to maybe step it and see if we can do it.
Well, that's why I proposed this, and before we went up from 9 to 15, and we went from, we were charging the same for residential and commercial. Last time we stepped it up, we split them up, so the 9 went to 15, and then 9 commercial went to 18. So it actually went up.
When you look at the percentage, that's starting to kind of hit people hard.
Yeah, it does.
That's a surprise.
Especially with everything else.
I mean, it's only $1, but that's.
But the bottom line is, if I can't meet budget, I'm not trying to be smart, don't get me wrong, I'm just saying, I don't want to go up. I'm a customer. Every one of my guys that work for me are customers, So when we go up, it goes up in their pockets too, and they're making much less money than I am. But the bottom line is we have to meet the budget, So, I mean, the cost of gas is going down, but everything else is going up, which is why I proposed over here on the next sheet, when we're charging $800 for a standard residential gas service, I want to go to 1,000. Because if you look at the cost sheet that I put on it, you'll see in 2022 what it was, now in 2024 what it is. That does not include any labor to do the service. And a standard service is up to 100 feet. Set that one right there.
So Dave, let me ask you something while we're still, where's Black Gas? Do you know what their rates are? Where are their rates?
As far as minimums and everything, I'm not sure, but I can find out real quick.
Okay.
I know as far as their service calls, they charge more than we do. The services, they charge more than we do. As far as the minimums, I'm not sure. They have about 4,200 customers. And they have a large commercial base. They probably have
Right.
40% commercial, which brings in a lot of extra money there. But I can find out. I will learn how to get you that information.
It's right there, because it's a comparison, because it's right there at the Dunn Creek Bridge.
Sure.
where we split off, just to kind of get an idea, where they are.
We actually split off in each black.
And it's black.
Yeah.
So I just think that would be,
Their base charge for gas customers is $8.75 for residents inside the city of Plaquemine, $10.25 for residents living outside the city.
so we're already exceeding it.
And then
But they also have, like you said, a larger base.
Well, and also, their infrastructure is very small.
they're
We're spread out. I've got 140 miles of pipe versus their whatever, because we're spread out so far.
So let me ask you, another question. When we come up here and we're looking at the personnel services, it looks like, so we budgeted, 287,900. Last year, we budgeted 209,000. It looks like where we are right now, we're spending about $18,000 a month, which would be about $54,000 left for the budget year. That would take us a little over, that would put us really more in line with the 2023 budget. Do we need to be at 285, 600? What does that include that I'm missing here?
Where are we looking now?
Page 34, on line 34.
On 34, and you're talking about on the 24? Well, I mean, if that's all what it's adding up to, and that's pretty much what it is, because I mean, I've gone through all the lines.
But we didn't fill that new position until when?
February.
So that's the new
Yes,
position?
we had a new position last year and didn't fill it till
And that's where
February.
that bump up was. So we had a couple of months, so we had 4 months.
Yeah, over a quarter of the year,
Yeah,
we didn't have that expenditure.
He started at 14, went to 15, 90 days in, so, yeah. So we were 4 months in on the budget when we started.
Yeah, if you look at line 24, staff salaries, the year to date is only 85.3. And
Okay, I was just,
Yeah, there was an increase, +2, there's gonna be an increase there because we're gonna add another truck. So you're gonna have more gasoline, but insurance, I don't know how much that's gonna go up.
So then the minimum charge that would apply to, that's city, people in the city and all the customers outside the city, correct?
As far as the minimums, it's the same whether you're in or out. Now, the cost of your gas is different. If you're inside the city limits, it's 6 cents cheaper than if you're out well. Yeah, 5 to 6 cents cheaper if you're inside the city limits. Outside, you're gonna pay more.
Really?
And it was set up that way because everybody inside the city is paying city tax.
Right.
Everybody outside's not paying any city tax, they're just paying county.
And you want to increase the new gas service minimum charge from 800 to 1,000?
Correct, and that does not include the turn-on fee or the deposit. And that's strictly, because at 560, that only leaves 440 for labor and everything to install the service itself.
I mean, part of the incentive is that with the deposit, if you come on board, as long as you don't fall behind. I mean, we could think about that too, waiving that deposit for those that come on board. We have to look at the legality in that,
Or do we,
but that's an incentive because that's a nice little chunk when somebody signs up.
Sure.
with FPL, after a year of being on time, you get your deposit back? You don't do that, you keep it.
We sit on them forever, but we don't make any money off of it.
But that-
It's a
Yeah, we're not allowed to,
non-recurring
right?
account.
We're not allowed to get interest on it.
Yeah,
So that's something-
which that's what most people think. We don't give it back to them, well, you just make an interest off. Non-interest bearing checking account, here's the account number right here if you want to take a look at it.
We're gonna look into it.
That's probably why FPL is so bad.
Yeah,
But they have masses of amounts.
oh, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Commissioner.
But maybe
Yes.
this is just,
But, and not to knock our customers, but we have a lot of customers, and maybe here 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, they're gone, they never pay their last bill, then they wanna come back 6 months later, under another name. It's like, you were just here last year, but they want to come in because they don't want to pay that overdue bill, you know, but that's part of business.
Mayor, so, when Ralph and I lived in Tampa, I think we got our city of Tampa, or maybe it was Tampa Electric utility deposit back after 2 years of timely payment of bills. And that was, like a reward for
Staying on time.
for that. And you mentioned incentives, and again, I don't know, we're apparently losing money now on installation of new services, not money.
We are at our the new cost of everything. I mean, we're not talking about years and years of it, but so far this year, as you see, the prices are increasing. But when you're talking about incentives, we have no money for incentive. You know, that was where we would have to be putting money aside somewhere that we don't need to build what I'll call a slush fund of incentive money to get people back to go gas or whatever.
Well, that's why I was thinking that wouldn't necessarily, if we did the deposit, that would be something that we could think about doing. And they'd have to sign a contract that if they fell behind, then that would come due, but that's just something to think about, that if we're looking at incentives.
Right, well, Mayor, could I, just
Yes.
one more thing, so it's hard to, I mean, somehow I would like us to be able to have a handle on, you know, is the cost of installation of new service, does that discourage people from signing on? I don't know. We get, you know, an increase in revenue when we have a new addition to our customer base. Somehow it would be nice to have numbers about, you know, do people just get gas regardless, or just some people inquire and say, oh, thank you, when they find out what the cost is, because, you know, increasing the install charges, I mean, that covers the cost, but is it a disincentive? I don't know.
Well, here's a prime example. We have a lot of people, all they get is a cook stove. Cook stove's gonna burn about maybe 5 therms a month. Let's just use a dollar figure, that's $5 a month. We're charging them $15 a month. That's $20 a month. Okay, so that's $240. It'll take 4 years to equal that $1,000. So, I mean, there's no incentive there for us whatsoever. You know, we're not making our money back, you know.
So what about hot water heating?
Hot water heater, yes, in Florida, I would say a hot water heater is better than a furnace because it doesn't get that cold in Florida anymore. But with your newer style hot water heaters, your tankless, they use about 50% less gas than a tanked water heater. So I'm happy for the environment. I'm happy for our customers. I haven't bought one yet, but I probably will be buying one.
They are great.
I
So
love it, but I probably spend that amount because I can take that much longer to shower.
That's right.
Sure, you'll never run out.
It's great.
All right, get more for less, you know,
Because it does run out.
right, there's a silver lining there.
As long as you don't have 4 kids that take 2-hour showers apiece, then it's cha-ching for us because it never runs out.
Okay,
And so the other thing that you have in here is the purchase price,
Mhm.
or about the savings as far as can you explain that a little bit more? Because I was trying to follow that, and
As far as what, natural gas versus propane?
no, about the minimum base cost, I guess is what you have here.
With how much we're
Yes.
How
purchasing,
much we're purchasing it and then dropping the next page that you gave
line
us.
57, that's what you're talking about, line 57?
No, I was talking about
Oh, okay, that- okay.
with the increased packet that you gave us.
Okay.
I don't get that at all.
It's, yeah, it's very, it makes sense, but I
Excuse me.
never guess.
Let me call you right back, thank you. My heart doctor, I talked to them.
Oh, that's important.
As far as
It says that, you should set a minimum base selling cost of 50 cents per
I
third.
was talking with FGU, I've been talking with Tom, and Tom's been giving me kind of a runaround, but I said, what about the minimum base? And he goes, well, he says we shouldn't do that. I said, is it legal? Yeah, it's legal, but you really shouldn't do that. I mean, The cost is low now. We probably missed a lot of that by not being there last year. But he advises against it. I mean, we would have made probably, well, I think I've got it on here.
6,000.
Yeah. You know,
And what that was just doing would be setting the lowest price at the 50 cents per therm,
correct, because I mean,
because right now it's below that.
yeah, on the market right now, it's like 19 cents, something like that. But that doesn't include our transport fees. Yeah, we get a 4-page bill, all penny here, 2 cents. It's kind of like looking at your phone bill, you know? It's like, where are all these taxes? But they're there. But even so, with it that low, there was an incentive there that we missed out on, but I wasn't trying to be greedy, because then everybody says, well, fine, if you're gonna do that, are you gonna pass that on to the customer? No, because we're trying to make more money so we can, definitely meet our budget, but show a profit, not just break even. But,
So I mean, as we are right now, if it drops, we're passing that on to the customer.
oh yeah, I mean,
We're paying your,
it costs you, the customer, about 84 cents a month per therm, plus the cost of gas. That 84 cents hasn't changed in like 5 years. And they say you don't just leave that alone, says that's not where you make the money, because we're only talking a penny or two, so just leave it alone. That's where they're talking about the minimum charges and everything. But on that, I mean, at one time it got down to like 11 cents. 11 cents. I mean, that was definitely under $1. But some companies were putting that minimum in there. They weren't letting it go under 50 cents. If they did, they just kept it. But they put that into a fund, maybe your incentive funds or whatever. That's what they said. I mean, I don't know, I'm not with them, but that's what I was told. But there's only been like, I think 3, as you see on here, like 3 months in there that happened through 2 budgets.
Okay.
Do you need to, take that so that you can do
They're not,
that?
they
And
don't
then we
close to
can,
5. They don't close to 5, that's okay. Sorry, made me mad.
I know, but we could go and talk about water or something.
Okay.
I took if I took the grant number out, that big 7.3 million, it shows our personnel services are decreasing by $2,300.
You make that personnel, not personal.
Our personal services, and then the operational expenses going up by $2,450. So we still end up at 0 for the year.
yeah, I've got that. Now, I'm also showing that right now we're spending about $52,000 a month. If you average that out, if you just broke that down into 9 months, and you did an average,
The 52,000 and what now?
52,000 a month over here on the, operational expenses. So when I look at where we are, so we budgeted for, 664, we're at 466 now, and you're gonna add about $160,000 more. So that might,
Which line were you looking
She's looking at the bottom line.
yeah, I'm looking at the bottom.
Okay.
Total operational
at?
expenses. They're looking at this fiscal year so far. Correct?
Yeah.
The year to date, June actual.
I think I'm gonna leave it alone, I'm gonna leave it alone. I think if we take those grants out, so it's not confusing. I think if we take the grants out, so it's not confusing.
Well, even
And-
at one
and you
time, the
Yes,
DOT project, the last DOT project was still showing $350,000 in there. There was no such money. We have a $22,000 contingency if they ever start the project back up, that Tallahassee will give us. But there is 0 funds in that. It was zeroed out like January of last year.
you know, and that's the hard decision that we have, and that's why we sit here, but we also know that, you know, like we said, and of course, people take this out of context, but that's our money too, because we're having to pay that same fee.
Sure.
You know, that's being imposed, we're imposing that on ourselves, as well, so,
The whole bottom line is, I can't reduce expenditures anymore. It's there, and prices are going up, other than the cost of natural gas. And that's could very well change real quick.
Right.
So I'm looking at the proposed market, But, because I just did our proposed buying and selling for all next year, because with natural gas, you have to reserve the amount of gas you want on the pipeline 12 months in advance. I've already got December of 2025 already locked in, whatever that comes to. If you go over it, you're penalized. If you go under it, that's excess gas supply on the pipeline. You have to sell it to somebody, so you're penalized, plus you're charged a sales fee. So it gets dog eat dog, but it really just depends on what the weather's gonna do. If it's gonna get cold, you can deplete it, and we're little, so we can sell our excess off to the big guys, but
And again, I mean, you have the futures, I mean, it tells you what the price is gonna be if you're buying that. So, I mean, for the next year, we're at that level, we're gonna be low. And so we're locked in on that, so.
Right.
We should be, that should not be a surprise later in the year.
yeah,
So,
the only spike I ever see on our gas demand will be if we have another major hurricane, the power's off for 10 days again, like it was in 2004. We have over 200 generators out there now. I believe they're all gonna be screaming about the gas bill when they get it. I can't believe I use that much gas, but
you're running your whole house on it, so.
you know, you got a 454 engine in that generator out there that can run 5 houses, you know, but
The other thing to keep in mind with the gas fund is we have revenue equal expenditures for the coming year. And that includes the bond debt. It does not include the money the gas fund owes the general fund. And the reason that we're showing the negative cash in there is we believe that Dale went ahead and tried to pay that back when the money wasn't there. So Julianne's working on fixing that. And so when we get that adjusted, we'll bring it back to show you the status of the fund. So by cutting and cutting, we got to revenue equal expenses, but that's not fixing the deficit problem.
Does that include the administrator, what's it called, the administrative carryover that we do?
That, this budget does,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
But-
but this current fiscal year, we haven't.
Well, it couldn't afford it was the problem. I think it got made and it got transferred anyway. We may have to undo that, to keep the fund, in the black, so.
I don't
So we
know.
need to look at more revenue sources for that fund.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, so Charles, can you elaborate a little bit more, and thank you for bringing up these crucial points of what is not in there. What was the money that you're referring to, that the gas fund owed the general fund, or?
Well, there's a couple things. One was like $80,000, wasn't
That's
it?
for the tree trimming.
For a couple years ago, before I got here.
That was in 2021.
Right.
Yeah, so
But
that's never been paid back.
I remember, because
2020
I
actually,
suggested,
2020,
Yeah.
before you got here.
okay, well, hang on, because Charles.
And then I believe of the annual administrative transfer, part of it got missed in 2021, I believe it was. And so it was a due to, it's called. And I think it was actually made up for when the money wasn't there to do it. So the fund couldn't pay its transfer to the general fund. All three funds were in that condition. And I think because when Robin was here, she made them late, so they didn't count. We had to undo it. And I think we're trying to sort all that out.
So that put them in the negative
Yeah.
because they paid when they should not have.
And they didn't have the money to
Still didn't have
pay,
the
yeah.
money to it, okay.
Okay, but Mayor, I'm not clear about that, the $80,000 loan. So you think Dale may have paid back the whole thing?
I don't know if he did the loan. I think it may have just been administrative transfers, but it was, the amount of money is so big, it probably included that. All the due froms, I think he tried to
And that's what shows up on our pool.
dissipate them all. And that's why those three are in the negative.
Okay, so in other words, the $80,000 or some lesser amount that the gas fund owed for that tree removal issue or to fix the hazard, that may or may not have been paid back to the general fund.
Correct.
Well,
I'm
we
waiting to
don't
hear from Julianne.
Okay,
She's gonna have to undo all that.
okay, so if the money was paid, the loan and the transfers were paid, and they undo them, would that put the gas fund then a little more in the black, although not carrying its own weight,
That would put the cash back in the black.
right? Even though it would not be
But it
fully self-sustaining.
would, but it would still have an outstanding, right?
We've got it self-sustaining now, but with this debt that we're not paying,
Right.
we're paying the bond debt, but not the general fund debt. The debt to the general fund.
And it's debt to ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? It's not, we haven't gone out, we're not having to go out and get debt, new debt to operate, we're not doing any of that, that's debt to ourselves.
Right, it's support.
Where the
it's
general fund,
support
where the
from
general fund, right, where the general fund is having to support one of our enterprises.
Okay, so Mayor, could I just say to the city manager's question, he asked, what were our thoughts on, the options 1 through 3 for residential and commercial increases?
I'm freezing. I can't do my hands.
So Mayor, I was asking, so Commissioner Lori gave his thoughts on the options. I have a thought on the options.
Okay, can you give them?
Sure, I'm just thinking, because, the gas fund's in need, but consumers are already under stress. So if we're going to do any option, and we don't have the final numbers yet, I would more think that option 1 would be a little bit less of a shock, more gradual. We could see what the impacts were. It raises less revenue, but at least it raises a little more revenue to create some kind of a cushion for the gas fund.
On the budget, it says that you have, we have 1,300 customers. On here, you have 1,200.
We have 1,500 services, but we only have about 1,280 actual paying customers.
I was gonna say, we have to look at our paying customers, okay?
I was just wondering, I wanted to see.
That's part of the Public Service Commission violation, is to get rid
It's
of
how
those
those services.
1,500. We've got another about 80 to kill. They've been on the books for 15 or more years. A lot of them are just, there's nothing there anymore, it's just a hot or burned down building.
So another one with what you were saying, and you're absolutely right, people don't pay their bill and they come back and they do that. We assign that to a person and not to an address, is that correct?
Correct. Johnson keeps it very strong. She nails them every time and they have a fit, but it's like, come on.
Well, maybe we just need to make sure that address, that it's to that address. So if anybody else comes in or if they come back, then somebody's gonna have to pony that up. And I know that we have to probably figure out for the lien or what we have to do,
A
but,
lot of it's real property.
okay. But we
So
have to- we
I've
really
heard
need
an
to
option
look at
2 and option 1. Any other thoughts on the options?
Right now, I'm thinking that we're coming into a presidential election, everything changes. You don't know what's gonna happen. I don't want us to, if you feel like we need to make this decision now
Well, I mean,
and
you
not
have,
when we do a budget adjustment,
y'all tell me, I'm just bringing options to y'all. Y'all tell me how you want to do it. I'm just giving you the options.
I was just with all the new fees to
I
go.
mean, I would do one. I mean, if it was me, if it was my recommendation, if we have to do anything, I would do the minimal amount that we can at this time. And then study it, see where we are.
And what about the new service?
Oh, for the new service, going out on that, would be,
But I will get the numbers for y'all as far as comparisons, how Black charges with everything on all their fees, their installs. And I think they have an option too, if like if you're a big commercial coming in, you don't pay anything, which we probably do the same.
Well, they do, yeah, because that's an incentive.
Well, like the campground, Moonshine Landing, I mean, that's gonna be a big customer. I mean, what do we,
Are they?
I mean, they're gonna have
They're getting
gas
gas.
drivers.
They're gonna have a lot of gas, but as far as what the consumptions will be,
We don't know.
If you remember George, you're gonna see him again, he'll help with the city manager search. He established the gas system in Jacksonville Beach. He said, he told them, if we can't have a strong commercial base, it's not worth doing. And so they have a strong commercial, so that's really where we need to build is the commercials.
right, because right now we have 100 commercial customers, but 100 that's churches, that's teeny little restaurants. As far as true commercial, like the nursing home, Watts Funeral Home, or a couple of our restaurants that burn over 1,000 a month, we have 5.
Wait, how many?
5.
Five.
Okay, so this is my number one question. And Charles, you just said what I was thinking previously. Can we identify our potential to increase commercial customers? I mean, it seems to me that that is a very important thing to do, to figure out what our potential customers would be out there, where we have, as the mayor said, the existing infrastructure. And as you said too, because if not, this is getting very worrisome.
Well, we're hoping
Is the
that,
new school gonna be on the service? Is the new school gonna be on the service?
Yes.
yes, I gave them a price and they said they were agreeable to that, but I told them that that did not include their commercial deposit because they may be as much as
But
$5,000.
McDonald's declined.
Yes, they're electric only. They don't like it.
Wait,
Some-
who's electrical?
McDonald's.
Yeah, but that's service is separate thing.
And that's the thing, I don't know if we can
I
really.
guess those aren't charged really.
Yeah, right.
Figure out what the potential will be. We just know that it's out there.
Yeah.
Sure.
And that, so I don't know if you can grab hold and say, oh, gee, we're gonna be able to do it. But we have to keep working towards doing it. And,
And the easiest is when there's new construction, to put in like homes and stuff. And we just have to make sure that we let people know that's available when there is new construction.
right, and we go all the way down 17, correct?
Probably East Black.
We start in East Black, we come all the way we did in here at Crescent City at the cemetery.
So I mean, if you just look at this corridor, the potential is great.
Sure.
Now, you see all over where they're taking trees out from different various locations. Nobody's talking about what they're putting there yet. A lot of it's kind of secret right now, but there's potential there for, growth, homes, things like that. So, yeah, I don't know if we can necessarily come up with a number.
We know we've got 13 homes, we know we have 13 homes.
Yes.
I've already sent them the number 2, but, he's wanting to build the homes, but he's not speaking for the buyers, so.
Whether or not they'll want gas.
Right, I mean, it probably costs about, if we just charge them for the material and nothing else, it'll probably cost about $2,000 to run a new line through there behind their properties, because I don't want to cut Cherry Street, every house there is. But you're talking about growth, we're looking at Wacka,
Oh, yeah.
Bass Pro coming in. There is mega potential there, but I spoke with some of their dealers, whoever the reps they are, they want to close Flirting Club Road. I said, well, we have gas main down there. That's right, we'll move it for you. Just tell us how much money you want and we'll give you a check.
You want $80,000 so that we can close out this loan that you got.
What road is
But
it?
anyway, just, like,
So we're waiting on that. I mean, that.
Floridian,
will blow up
Floridian,
there.
Club Road.
Floridian Club Road, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's in Wacka. That's
I know
where
where it is.
Bass Pro, or
That's
That's
what
where
he
Floridian
is.
Club.
Yeah.
Floridian Club, yeah. They want to build a whole new driveway.
We have a new RV park coming, and that's something else we need to make sure is
Where's
we've
that?
got the RV park, no, Pomona Park.
Oh,
That
yeah,
did get
Cisco.
approved.
Yeah.
Yeah, one right there at Cisco, so we need to make sure that he's aware also. So I guess as we see these things
right,
and,
we've got to be,
and
Right.
the
But the problem-
municipalities have
But it's good to see that and they want gas, but a lot of those developers will say, we're not paying nothing. You want to sell us gas, you build it. So, you're talking 50 grand. But I'm just saying, because the housing development over there in Hermit's Cove, just before you get to the railroad track, actually go into Hermit's Cove, he wants to build 200 homes back there. I guess he's county commissioner now. He's kind of a bud, but I don't like the guy. He's telling me, you're gonna do this,
You're
and I'm gonna do that.
You're on record.
He is.
Just want to remind you that you're
I
on
don't call him by
record.
name, but he knows who he is.
That you're on record.
So anyway, that's 200 homes out there, but you're looking at $60,000, $70,000, and then you're gonna put a line out in the middle of this open field. The developer's gonna come in, well, we wanna move the road over 10 feet.
well, we have to do smart but we just have to kind of keep at it.
I understand.
Yeah, that's what we.
I'm not the best manager around, I'll give it that. I started digging ditches and turning wrenches, but
Oh, no, Dave, I wouldn't,
No,
no, and I was just gonna compliment you for these
Yeah.
grants.
Sure.
And what you've gone after and,
A big help.
and, you know, you're doing a great service to the community, like you said, on a bare bones budget with a bare amount of employees. And sometimes I know we call them enterprise funds, and we'd like them to make money, but it's also a convenience for our residents and for those in the surrounding area. A big convenience, and so, you know.
Well, everybody wants to talk about electricity, but all the power companies make their electricity off natural gas.
Yeah.
So they don't want to talk about that part.
Mayor, could I make an observation about the info provided? Dave, I think are a good manager, you have a lot to do, small staff. I don't know that the city has necessarily thought about marketing sufficiently. That's a $64 question about exactly the job that should be. But I just wanted to observe on page 2 of the gas budget. I think that this is very good information that you've included, very important, where you say interesting facts. I think that is very important information, is the kind of information both the commission, city manager, the public need, that gives us the perspective when we look at these numbers. So thank you very much for including that.
Sure, anytime. But I will be more than happy to get some information to you on sales packets, with the costs and everything, to see how much. And the other issue is if you want to do internet, if you're trying to send stuff out, you've got to get a mailing list somehow. But as far as Facebook, yes, you can start that way, contact us. And we can
And we can put it also, we can also put it on our website, so
Sure.
that when people go in there, so.
But on our Crescent City building accounts for our water customers, if we could put some kind of notation on that just for those accounts. And, you know, I know there's LP customers out here in our town. So,
We just have to,
And the thing is
we have to tell them how beneficial it is, yeah.
And the thing is too, you don't just do it once and see what you get. I mean, advertising works when it's repetitive. I mean, for the newspaper, you can't just run an ad once and think the phone's gonna ring off the hook. You know, you gotta do it 3 times, you know, so.
And those tanks, I mean, the thing to remember too with those tanks is that we have a bad hurricane, we have a bad storm or something, those tanks are limited with how much the capacity and how much time they'll serve.
right, because you're limited on how fast the truck will come to you, and then they're gonna start just like FPL. If you're on a dead end run,
Yeah.
it'll last. It's
Yeah.
primary run only,
Yeah.
same way with the bulker truck.
So just
They're all
because
gonna
you
come
have
down
that
the primary
generator and
run.
you have that tank doesn't mean you're gonna
Sure.
have power.
Thanks, Dave.
And David,
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let me go make a phone call.
Yes.
that's good to know.
Next up is our water fund.
Okay, we start off with revenue. The utility tax is increase due to the increase in water sales, which is going up 5%. So the utility tax is we budgeted 47,100. Water sales, we budgeted 471,000, and then sales for maintenance, that's 10% based on the water sales.
So now, where does that show, we're showing this as revenue, but that is not technically revenue to be spent, correct? That needs to go into the replace, there's that 10, that's why I wanted clarification on this, because we have the utility tax that we charge, and we have the 10% sales for maintenance,
That goes back in for the repairs.
is that the replace renew fund or whatever?
Yeah,
Okay, so that's what you're showing here as revenue, is that coming out somewhere, or are we just adding that in? Because to me, that, you know, that's not supposed to be like that.
So what you're asking is that coming out of the water sales,
Yeah, that's what.
out of that amount?
yeah,
That line 4,
Right.
it needs to be going
that's,
out. It's always in there.
Yeah. Yeah, for some reason, it's always been there, but I understand what you're saying. It's not actually additional revenue.
Right, because we can't spend that, that needs to go into the renewable
That actually
space
needs
fund.
But I think it shows us how much, I mean, I understand why it's probably there, because it shows us how much is coming in that, because that still is revenue that we've received, that 10%,
But we should be adding that in as something we can spend.
but no, we can't spend it.
It's counting it twice, I think, this one.
yeah.
Is it taking it off of so it's taking it off of the water sales,
Yeah, that's
that
good.
so that amount, so it's not plus?
I don't think we reduced water sales.
No, it's just like 10%. We're saying, okay, well, of that 471,000, we're holding back 47,100 for the repair and replacement fund.
But I agree, I don't think it should be in there. I hadn't noticed that before, unless it's coming out.
So maybe we need to set up a whole different thing for that.
For those two lines, yeah.
Unfortunately, this fund had a fund balance of $79,000, so it now just went down to 30,000 something. That is the transfer to repair and replace fund.
That's true. I mean, that is established too by ordinance, so that's what that is.
Correct.
It has to be separated and put aside. That may be best to do.
When we're saying that we're looking at the projection for 2024 is 448,000, and then we're budgeting 471,000 for 2025.
It's based on a 5% increase.
That's on the 5%, so you added that into the 5%. Just,
You projected, was 6 months of actual and remaining 3 months of projected.
okay.
In total.
And again, we're dealing with the grants and appropriations.
Yeah, also,
But now those, we've been granted all of those, correct? No, yeah, we've been granted all of those.
Yeah, we didn't put that in this year, even though it'll have to be in there because we'll keep spending that money right in the next year. But for just to show you the budget without it.
Okay. Any other questions on this first page?
okay, expenditures. Really, personnel services, really nothing major going on there. Operational expenses, there's really no big increases until we get down to repair and the repair and maintenance fund. We budgeted about $38,000, which is a $5,000 increase over last year.
What line are you?
Oh, I'm sorry, that's line 40.
Equipment repair and maintenance.
Yeah.
It's just for water tank inspections.
Yeah. Maintenance.
Well, we have to do that every few years, right? Do the water tank inspections, and that's not an every year thing.
Keith, how often do the water tank inspections occur?
That's occasional, isn't it?
How often do the water tank inspections occur? Is it every year?
I think twice a year,
Twice a year, every
I
year?
think so.
Well, Mayor, if I could, we're talking about line 40, there's the water budget. So there's a note out to the side that says quarterly / annual water tank inspections. I don't know where that info came from, maybe that's just an estimate.
Can we do it quarterly, Keith, do you think?
I think they do, it changes so much, I know we got one coming up, so they might do, we got 2 towers, the 100,000 gallon tank,
There's a contract with somebody that does it.
Yeah.
Okay.
utility services. Been with them for quite a while.
So it's under.
I'll have to look into that, because I know we got one coming up. It might not be quarterly, it might be one tank a year. So this year we might do one, and then next year they might do another one.
And the increase chlorine, line 47, $23,000.
Yeah, did our chlorine and so forth costs go way up? Is that what is it?
I think it's been going up,
You can see we're at 63,000, where's year to date?
You're right.
58,
Yeah.
so we've already spent 58, and that's with only 9 months.
Where's that? Steve, was that number based on?
What do we talk, I believe Keith gave you a number for the increase in the chlorine. I think I factored that in. I can go back and I can circle around and check to see what that was. So I thought we had a price of what it was going up to.
But anyway, we know it's going up, so that's.
Is there anything else that you see?
So, like 52, that's the cost allocation. That's the same amount as last year we budgeted,
Yes,
but we have not paid it, we don't pay half of it.
correct. We usually pay half early on, and then the second half later in the year.
Okay, so we are gonna we're still gonna do that this year, right?
Well, we'll see. That's a good question.
But which line are we
I'm
addressing?
talking about
52.
the cost allocation, the
Okay,
overhead transfer. Okay, and then the rest of, yeah, that's, do we factor in here the electricity that it takes to run the Thompson area? Is that what the line 35 is?
Should be utility electric.
Yeah, that entails.
I just,
Um,
So generally, this fund is gonna end with adding a little bit to the fund balance.
Mhm.
Whereas we didn't have to have revenue equal expenditures, we're able to have a little extra additional revenue, which will add to those, to the fund balance, which will help us with our expansion, repair, placement, those kind of. And that's the goal every year, is to keep adding more and more to fund balance, so that we can handle expansion projects and repair projects without
but it really wouldn't be
waiting for grants.
added to the fund balance, because we need to put those, the 10% at the top there.
Well, then we'll take that off, so it still leaves about $30,000. Do the math. It's at 79,976 minus,
There's two lines, there's utility tax, Crescent City, and the 10% sales maintenance, or 10% for maintenance, which is to replace and renew. So that's 47, well, 35, whatever, 47.1 is the budget, or 37.5 is the budget, and 25 for last year. But for this year, it's 47.1 on both of them. But both of those are supposed to be, the 10% renew and replace, that definitely goes into the fund. The 10% is something that I'm not quite clear on where that's supposed to go. I've always been told that goes for maintenance and repair stuff, but there's not an actual fund set up for it. If I remember correctly, I looked up the ordinance for it. It was something that we do the 10% utility tax on electricity, all those things, all utilities that are here, even LP, when it's sold, there's a 10% tax that comes to us. Water it was not allowed on water until 2007, and that was one of the things that we voted in to change it to cover water, because the state allowed us to do that. But at the time, it was explained to me that that was going to be for kind of the same thing as the renew and replace fund. But I'm not sure if it is actually something that goes in. I mean, really, regardless, we really shouldn't be putting it in as a revenue to be spent with the operations, as far as that's my thinking.
Wow, look into that, yeah.
okay, so Mayor,
Yes.
could I just clarify? So it sounds like what Commissioner Rory is saying is that 10% tax really should go into kind of a reserve fund.
Okay, so that's my understanding. There's also how I've explained it to other people, so. But it is separate, on our water bills, it's two separate lines. Right, it's actually three lines, you have the water, and then consumption and sales. We have 10% tax and then the 10% renew and replace. So they're broken out separately on our bills, and I don't think that's because it's supposed to go to someplace else. It's the same thing on sewer, we have that 10% on sewer. Did I see anything
Yeah,
happen?
we can probably make it work. Wonder if you could make this line, figure out what it's gonna be, and then subtract 10%, and put it down there, then it will still show up. You know? Yeah. Although it shouldn't be in here, it shouldn't be in this revenue.
Yeah, it's double counted.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it shouldn't be spending that, it should be in there.
So we gotta figure out about, you're talking about this utility.
Oh, yeah.
Line 2, if that's supposed to go into those other funds.
No utility tax.
Yeah, I know, Looking at the ordinance, it has a water plant replacement, improvement, and expansion charge, and wastewater treatment plant replacement, improvement, and expansion charge. That's for the 10%. The one ordinance that we passed in order to do that says that those two are supposed to be separate funds. But it does not say anything about the utility tax, so I have to research that.
Yeah, we'll have to look that up.
I'm
Any other questions on the water fund?
My question is, with 56, 57, 58, with what they're doing right now, do we feel like we're gonna come in with budget on that?
I think we are on the state appropriations, right there, the North Main CDBG.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna come up short. It's only $650,000, and the South Main project is coming in more than that. The North Main is a longer run, so that's why I put in the capital budget, in the water expansion fund. Or water repair in place, I forget which one, that's the source of another maybe $300,000, $400,000. Probably gonna be about $1 million, anything, Keith? CDBG,
Close.
We haven't bid that out yet.
we're still waiting. It's a super slow process.
And they're gonna, so Keith, I know they're gonna have to do probably, just the repairs are gonna have to do. I don't know, are they pretty much in line with where they thought they were gonna be?
With the new line here, oh yeah, they're going good.
Well, I know they're going good, I just
Yeah.
they've had to cut a lot of road.
Oh yeah, no, all that'll be fixed, all asphalted back, a lot of it's gonna get milled. And I think they're gonna redo some of the whole intersection
Okay.
to make it look better.
I just know in some of those areas, when you're out there and you're talking to them, they found that it was road and they thought it was gonna be on the side of the road, and so it's where they had hoped it was gonna be, so I just wanna make sure that we're still okay on that.
They found all kinds of stuff so far.
I took a picture today of, they had it dug out and they had it was amazing, that pipe that was just,
The old pipe.
the old pipe, it was just flooded. Yeah, just that,
How far are they down? I haven't been here in a week.
They've got the central, right?
I saw them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're stopped at Central right now, they've got all the line run to Palm. They've got the new line run down to Florida, now they're just doing all their tie-ins so they can eventually bring it live. Once they get that done, the crew's gonna come back, maybe tomorrow, I guess, and start boring from Central to Orange. And then he's gonna move over to Main Street, go from Main Street or Central to Orange again.
Because the parts that they're actually digging and trenching, they're doing separate from the boring, because they just do the directional bore for like a day or two, right?
Well, the guy was supposed to be here to stay until he run out of pipe, but I don't know if he's back yet or not.
Because I saw the machine out there last week before.
He pulled one of his machines out, but they might be coming back tomorrow.
I just wanted to watch it, it's fun to watch it. Directional bore.
Mayor, I have a question about that they're actually, you said you're to the point of doing the tie-ins. So when will people north of Central, then over on the east side of town, will they be actually receiving their new service soon?
Once they get the new line up and back teed and passed, they'll start doing the tie-ins on the services.
Okay,
And
so,
then they'll run new lines to the houses. Everything's getting new. It's
okay,
all new.
right. So that when people switch from the old service to the new service, are we gonna have the situation like we've had other times before, like with orange water, or, will your water be kind of funky when it first starts
No,
coming
ma'am.
through?
Because they have to pressurize the line and get it
It
tested.
has to be back teed and all that and approved. And then once it passes, of course, they'll flush it. They'll use quite a bit of water. They'll flush the lines, they'll back tee it. They gotta do 3 samples, I believe it is, at certain intersections, they have a sample point. And they have to go to each one of them, and then that sample has to go to the lab, and until the lab says it's good to go, they can't hook the lines up.
Okay, just asking, cause
Yeah.
I lived in an old part of Tampa and they upgraded certain things and there was definitely a transition period with the things they did with the sewer lines and things they did with water lines. And I know from time to time, people here say they're getting, discolored water or whatnot. So, if there is gonna be anything unusual, or I guess if they're gonna have a break in their service, are we gonna let them know?
Yeah, well, they should be fine because everything they're getting now is gonna be either PVC or poly. So if they start showing any rust, it's probably gonna be what's inside their house.
And when they change over to the new, they'll be disconnecting them and turning
Yep.
and connecting the new ones within like half an hour.
Every piece of it will be brand new, water meters and everything.
They'll be notifying the customers right then, the day before, or at least this is what they're supposed to do. And then they'll go and do it the next day, it's about half an hour or an hour.
Yeah, it won't take long, and we don't even have to issue a boil water notice because the system
Oh,
has not went below 20 pounds.
Sounds lovely, thank you.
Okay, let's move on to wastewater.
Okay, wastewater, we have budgeted 520,200 for wastewater charges. That's based on a 5% increase also. And then we've got the 10% sales remaining, so it's gonna be like we have with the waterfront off, pull that out and park that someplace else for revenues. And then
Any questions on this? What was the other miscellaneous revenues that we did, I bet, with the budget?
$2,000.
yeah, I'll take a look. I don't remember what that was.
Okay. Okay, so what is, maybe I do have a question. What is the 322,710 in line 8 that says unearned revenue ARPA? I mean, what, is that for the fire hydrant project or?
That was back in 2022, so that's probably where they put the money, yeah.
Water being designed for those two projects.
That's where they put the money back at that point, they've since, Charles.
Yeah, I think that's the amount of one check
Yeah.
from ARPA, yeah.
Wait, but what I'm saying is that there was an issue of where our ARPA money was parked, or where it was placed in terms of being placed in a fund and then how it was accounted for. So my question is this just showing us where the money was parked, or is that money allocated for a specific expenditure? Because there's a big difference.
Well, this was back in 22, we were showing that as revenue to that account, because it was being put in there.
Okay, but that wasn't, you're saying that's the revenue that we received, all the revenue
Yeah,
we
that was
received in 2022?
That looks like that,
No,
quite all of
not
it.
over 700,000, but I think at that point it was gonna go to the wastewater.
Some of it got put into
Yes.
water and some of it.
Yeah, it got divided up,
And these are all different numbers, right?
yes.
Because I'm just trying to find where it went out, there's expense in there.
That's kind of
We're
what
still
I'm
spending
asking.
it.
And that's what
Right, but we received 763 or 68, I forget which thousand. This is a part of it. So where did the other part go, and what year was it received?
Well, it was in fire, remember we did our, where did we put that for the fire hydrants? Where did we put that money for the fire hydrants? Did we put that
I
money
think
in
it's in the
fire?
water fund.
Did you put it in the water fund?
I think it's in the water fund.
And then, it doesn't come out as an expenditure, it doesn't change in that
Yeah.
position of 316,000, so that's almost what's the amount, yeah.
The challenge we have, that money keeps getting moved, because we were talking about a septic to sewer conversion project back then, and we hadn't actually agreed to do it yet, but Jody put the money in our sewer fund wastewater. Like, well, we're not gonna use it for that, it turned out we're gonna use it for economic development and
Because it does,
fire hydrant, so it got moved again.
there was a line in here for septic sewer conversion project, and it says ARPA, line 40, but it's zero. So that's why there's a change in that position of 316, so it wasn't spent. What is the amount?
That's the money we're using for fire hydrants and for economic development.
What is the amount? What is the amount?
In 2022,
What is?
322,710
Okay,
is
so,
listed as received.
and this is 316,406.
Okay,
That's what-
and what line is that?
That's at the end, the change in that position.
Okay.
So, I mean, it wasn't at 946, so it wasn't spent.
Well, Mayor, if I
Wait,
could,
yeah,
ideally, the city staff would be answering these questions because we need to know where they say it is. At one point, the city manager gave us a very nice one-page chart that showed all of the ARPA funds. It didn't say what city fund they were proposing in, but it listed funds that we received, the funds that we had expended, and what the expenditure was for, and then the balance. It would be nice to have an update on that, I think, at this point. And
Yeah,
then-
we still do have, I mean, we still have economic development funds that we need to, we don't have to disperse them by the end of the year, but they have to be allocated.
Right now, they're allocated to economic development.
Okay, so
But I'm
if we
saying,
want to change that, we have to do that before the end of this year.
December.
well, apparently, one of the staff members from League City said there have been further changes. And I have a note,
It's a moving target.
right, I have a note to myself, to contact Charles about that, to contact, it's the person who works with Allison Payne. I said, I have an ARPA question, and he said, well, is it about the changes? And he indicated that, yes, there have been changes, and it is a moving target.
So is he the one handling it? Because I always dealt with Allison on that.
Right, well, this is, I forget his last name, but he works with her, and, either one of them, but apparently, when I just was going to ask him for clarification about ARPA, he said there were further changes, that what Charles was
Charles,
indicating.
can
in
you-
the target.
Usually it's more, they're giving us more leeway, like just spend.
I would prefer, just so that we know it's coming from both of you, can either one of you reach out to them and find out what those changes are, so that we can have an explanation?
Because as of right now, they have to be allocated. but they
Right
don't
now,
have to be
we're good, we're allocated,
Right.
we're golden. We better change, have to figure out how to get in there and reallocate. We allocate it every spring. We report.
So, yeah, they'll let us do any type of do we have any other questions? We're in the expense part of wastewater. Do we have any other questions here?
Is the Florida Rural Water Association charging us more?
What line are you looking at?
38. We allocated 100 last year, and it says we haven't spent it, but then 300 for this year.
I'm not sure if I haven't paid that membership yet.
I mean, this is out of wastewater.
This was back in June, it was back in June too, so we might have at this point in time.
And is that split between water and wastewater, or is that?
No, I think it's, I'm not sure, I don't remember ever having that come in, that membership request. I know we're members, and that's also in case other membership and training opportunities that came up.
The lift green for Keith's truck?
Keith's at the, I guess, the crane on his truck now is giving him problems.
Oh, that's supposed to come out of the,
That is line,
one of those other funds, the wastewater repair and replace, or, I can't remember the name of those funds. That should-
Vehicle repair and maintenance.
That was a separate fund for, thought we could take the crane, because it's for our lift stations.
Yeah.
We have a water and sewer repair and replace fund. So since this crane, pretty much 100% for our lift station, isn't it, Pete?
Yes,
pull
sir.
the pumps out.
Yes, sir.
So we have $200,000 in that fund.
So that needs to come out of that fund.
So it should be in here.
Where we go to, if you go to line 35 for the gas, and it's showing that, last year we budgeted 2163. I'm sorry, last year we budgeted 4,000, we used 2163, but we're budgeting 1350 this year, which is less than what we've already spent. Is that because of the split?
Yeah, they pulled out tires and oil and diesel.
Okay, so it's, okay.
Plus Keith said he had some newer trucks that are a little better on gas.
Better.
So we'll tweak that, we'll take out the 10% sales for maintenance, and we'll take out the crane. And then we'll revised, there'll still be some additions to fund balance for the year.
According to our ordinances, that the ordinance that created the water and sewer plant expansion fund says the monies placed in the wastewater treatment plant expansion fund shall be used for the expansion, replacement, or improvement of the city wastewater treatment facility in such manner and at such times as the city commission shall from time to time determine.
All right, so we'll take it out of a better place.
We can determine that as part of it. I'm just saying that.
Is it supposed to come out of the system, or can it be equipment for the system? Because that would be equipment for the system and not the system itself. So that would be the question in the
I mean,
ordinance.
it says, the expansion, replacement, or improvement of the city wastewater treatment facility.
For the facility.
So I mean, does that mean
To me, like,
the entire system, or does that mean the facility itself?
it's an interpretation, I guess, you have to have
Yeah, I
an
mean,
interpretation.
And such manner and at such times as the city commission shall from time to time determine. So,
May I have a question?
Yes.
So could Commissioner Ward, send us, or send to the clerk and have her distribute to us this portion of our ordinance that he is highlighting? Because I think it'd be helpful. It would help me if I was able to see it.
Yeah. And we also can, if you need to pull it up from your computer too, you should be able to pull it up on Unicode.
that's right.
Right, but I mean, they at least need a site.
Section 32, house two,
Okay. Let me, so this is not with wastewater, but this is, I know we use for the meter reader, the Kubota. How much are those Kubotas?
Around 16,000.
Okay.
We've got that at a better place.
Oh, I know we do, so my question is, like those ones that they have up at the dump, but if it Lowe's, no, not Kubotas, is there a significant difference between those and what we have?
Well, I mean, Kubota's like a Cadillac. That's,
So I know,
and, we don't have to have that. I was looking into, to find somebody that sells them. Toro makes one.
Yeah.
That's probably gonna be gas, which will be fine. You can actually, we can get an easy-go golf cart. That's gas. With a utility bed on the back, as long as it's a two-seater. Anything like that for,
yeah.
We're beating the daylights out of that golf cart.
Yeah.
It needs to be something heavier than a golf cart.
right. Well, I mean,
Well, I was
these
looking
are
at-
more.
Looking at those up there, and they were running right in that $10,000 range. I think we could utilize some of those,
I looked at those too, I think they have some that are less than 10,
but
but anyway.
they have a nice
Yeah.
aqua, they have a nice aqua one up there right now that's sitting on the
They
wall.
actually do, that's that's the one we know. That's the one for 12,000.
No, that was a little more pricier, but I was just wondering as we go forward.
I
With
can
some
get
of
the
these.
Kubota in any color you want.
Oh, I like the orange, I like
As long
the
as
orange.
It's like,
Okay, we'll move on to solid waste. I was just asking that, if that's something that we could
Yes, ma'am, we don't have to
utilize,
have.
like I know if this next position that we have that's coming up, that we haven't filled, that we need to fill, and I don't think that we have a truck available, if that's something that it would be an option.
Well, if we end up buying 2 trucks, we'll have a truck available.
Okay.
I just need to get with Mr. Rudd and discuss the person that I'm looking at.
Okay. Okay,
And
okay, we'll go on to solid waste.
I put in your packet a letter we got from Waste Pro, they're exercising their option to increase the rates. That's a pass-through for us. Our rate, I think we had $2 to each account, that won't change.
Okay.
That's something that I guess we need to take into consideration, because with everything else going up, and we knew this was gonna happen, once they started doing that, we haven't raised your rates in a long time, we're gonna do this. Here in the city, everybody gets that Thursday service, and so if we get too much feedback, on that, that's maybe something that we need to talk about and consider. Maybe even do a poll out there for, residents to see if they, because that would back it up for them a little bit. I think that would change.
Switch to 1 day a week.
Yeah, if we switch to the 1 day,
That's just
What else are done?
that should decrease it. Yeah, that should decrease it. So if we get much pushback on that, it's not something that we've done. Again, it's something Waste Pro's done. They've done it to the county as well.
Well, they determine the price of the county different
Yeah.
price. And I did check the numbers, their calculations, and that is right.
But that's something that we just need to, if we get much pushback from it. But Charles, if you send anything out with that increase, let's just make sure that they realize that that's out of our control.
Okay, well, wait a minute, Mayor, as far as the Waste Pro increase goes, don't we, our attorney's not here, I didn't check the ordinance, but I think we have to change the rate by resolution, like, so we will have to have that on the commission agenda.
Well, that's right.
We adopt all the rates and fees in one fell swoop, as part of the budget process.
When are they
We
going
have
to
to,
do that increase?
no, I'm sorry,
That's what the
I
first-
think we have to have a separate resolution, if I remember correctly,
Yes.
besides the budget. We have to take a specific,
That's what I'm saying, we have a one that's our, like planning and zoning, and we re-adopt all your fees
All at once.
all at once, and we highlight those that have increased. That's what we did last year.
I don't think we have to, but
Okay, would you talk to Don Holmes and see from him if you would get from our attorney and find out what's required of us? Make sure that we're doing it
That's what we
correctly.
did last year, put in the new water and sewer rates. That's when we tried to raise, the gas fee last year. Because I remember I was up there telling you guys not to. But we didn't just put all that together. 'cause that's-
Yeah, and now you see that happen.
I understand, I totally understand. But you know, you have to talk
It's a
about.
lot easier when you're sitting out there than when you're sitting up here and you have to make these hard decisions, isn't it? Okay, let's go on to solid waste. If there's anything on there
But
that,
nothing really,
nothing.
you just take a look at it,
Okay.
yes, Mayor, if I could, I think it would be helpful, as the budget document is developed, to have a note on here that shows how many customers we have. I think it's been there in the past.
Yeah, base this off approximately 600, talking with Jocelyn.
Right, but it would be very informational to have that as a note in budget to show how many customers we have, and these are our residential customers, correct? Okay,
Yeah, because the commercial's done directly with waste.
Yeah, right.
Okay, is there anything else?
Can I present this?
Yes,
Both Commissioner Burton and Commissioner DeVito and I ran a seminar today, or not today, last week at the Florida League of Cities. And one of them was about communicating the budget to people, and especially to the public. And it gave us a lot of interesting ideas and graphics and stuff. And I was just hoping that maybe we could work this year on putting a budget book together. I know, Charles, you're leaving us, thank you. But maybe,
I highly encourage Steve to look at other examples in other cities. They have some very elaborate books up there.
I mean, I know it's something that will probably take a while to get more, more sophisticated. But, we really do lack that. It's something that, and it's something that we need to use as a tool to communicate to the public what's going on with their money, and some graphs and stuff like that. I mean, I'm willing to help Steve if you'd like. I just would like to be able, you can go to any other city, pretty much in the state, and download the budget. And we haven't really had a tool like that we can use. And, but I know it changes, and we adopt, changes to our amendments. But it would be nice to be able to kind of, I know the narrative part of it kind of takes a lot of time in putting in, but if we could just starting basic, like in a basic way, and maybe make it more sophisticated over the years.
Dale had, and I don't know if he left the example, but Lake Butler, he did one for Lake Butler, because I'd asked him when he came on to make sure that we had that for us as well, that he did that for us as well, but unfortunately.
It's a tool, it's a very important tool.
I think Lake Butler is on their website.
I'm sure it is,
That whole book.
no, that he did it.
And as well, I'm pretty sure that the slides from the communication workshop will be on the League of Cities website. And I had a couple of things before we leave that I was wanting to bring up. They're short.
Okay, I wanna make sure that before you do, we have these sitting here, the resumes. Are these?
That's just
So-
the
No,
one,
no,
it's just on Wednesdays.
Okay.
An additional one.
Oh, okay.
I do want to mention, we've tweaked the general fund budget to the rollback rate. I did about $70,000 in cuts, but I'm waiting for the state revenue money, hoping to get that, and maybe we can get some of it back before I send it out to you, but we'll send it to you shortly.
Do we have an idea of the DORs?
If we or anything, haven't we?
It comes in little spits and spurts, and what I've seen so far really hasn't increased much. I think I gave you the ones that I did have, and
Yeah,
I don't think it changed. So there really wasn't a major change in any of those.
so we'll send it to you shortly. I'll send you, highlight in yellow the cells that we reduced to make it balance.
But I appreciate the hard work.
It's doable.
I know that can,
But what I would encourage you, there's a cell at the bottom that projects the how much we'll have left at the end of this year to roll over.
Right.
So that will be what you put back next year in your budget amendment, and we could fix, we,
the stuff
for instance,
that
like
we
cut the tree budget in half. You could fix it in the budget amendment, put that money back in based on what's left over this year, so. It's not as drastic as it looks when you look at it.
Well, Mayor, if I could respond.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was talking about when we had the rollover, the additional funds identified, that using that to kind of enable a rollback. That's exactly what I was talking about, that you're saying. But yes, thank you for the hard work. And then, that I do have a question along the lines of our budget and revenues.
Okay.
Has anyone received a question or looked at your trim notice and noticed that Crescent City millage and taxes and our budget hearing are not on the county trim? Did y'all look at yours yet?
I looked at mine and I noticed that mine actually, if we did that, my taxes would go, it looked like they would be going down.
Okay.
And because it doesn't, but I didn't study it, I just got it like Thursday or Friday.
Okay, so I was out of town, plus, we are switching from post office delivery. I didn't actually receive the trim notice in the mail because I didn't change it from the PO box.
So what did you find when you saw it?
Okay, but what I found is, someone asked me, why aren't Crescent City taxes on the trim notice? It was a resident, so I looked mine up. There's, when they list all the different taxing entities, there's 0 for Crescent City tax. Our tax bill is $600 or $700 less. The
Oh,
estimate.
no, mine was on there.
Okay, well,
Mine had Crescent City because I specifically looked at
okay, I contacted the property appraiser's office this morning, and I copied Charles on that. For some people in Crescent City, it doesn't show the millage, it doesn't show your estimated taxes, including your city tax, and it doesn't show the date of our hearing. It must be a computer thing.
it. Yeah, because mine had all of that on there,
Yeah,
because I did check all of that.
Okay,
Mine
and
had
I
all
couldn't
that.
go and check, everyone else's, but, so I contacted the property appraiser's office. They said they were aware that there was some kind of issue. So just to let y'all know, and just to let Charles know, and, they just sent me back an email that said, we're aware of it, we're working on it, something about retrim. I think some of us are gonna obviously have to receive, a corrected notice. But if,
Pull this one off the website and it doesn't have for 19 South Main Street, 19 North Main Street, it doesn't have any city information on it at all.
Yeah, they acknowledge the error in their.
right, so, and I'm just saying, just for everybody's information,
Yeah.
some people did not get a correct trim.
That's,
And I don't know if the property appraiser's office would be willing to give the city any information so that we could put a little note or something. I don't know, I'm sure that, I'm sure that would fix it.
They would send something out, and for the record, that is the county
Yeah.
error, that is not the city of Crescent City's error, and we are not charging them additional taxes because it just was not included in there, it's everything that's.
Right, well, some people, I think it was a computer error of some kind, it must have been coding, so that's out there, if anyone asks you.
Mine was right on, I mean, mine was
No,
pretty spot on, that's why I didn't see anything.
Right, well, some of us just have like a blank.
I wonder if they've moved you out of the city.
yeah, maybe they just de-annexed.
I don't know, but does the city have to do that? Okay, but anyway, moving on from that, that's, I mean, people wanna know why their trim's wrong. Our city clerk sent, 2 emails when we were at that, League of Cities conference. I ran into, retired city managers, a senior advisor, it's very nice. Mark, Ryan.
Oh, Mark, okay.
Right, he's a newly retired city manager.
Awesome.
Absolutely fantastic person, he's been very active and he signed up as a senior advisor. So I just, had said, we're gonna be looking for interim manager, if you know anyone, and he told Commissioner Lori and I, when he retired, he did this wonderful document, and as you will recall, and maybe, Commissioner Lori does, we had problems really getting, a big applicant pool, and so the document that was circulated to you was Mark Ryan, the retired city manager, was a document that he specifically put together to basically do what he said, market yourself for a new city manager. So, right, market the city. So I'm thinking, if everyone wants to take a look at that, it's probably a little more elaborate than we would be able to do. But it's a general idea. He retired from Indian Harbor Beach, which is a coastal community. Also on the issue of personnel, I think Commissioner Roy had to leave the luncheon before they announced this. The new League of Cities president, his year's initiative is to address the difficulty cities have in recruiting specialized personnel, because we're not competitive with private industry. There's going to be a new FLC jobs website. And I'm going to email that to Commissioner Lori. And that, Commissioner Lori had asked to receive the copy of the IT contract. And I just wanted to ask him, did you want us to review that or put that on the agenda or?
Well, I had talked to you about seeing if we, because we're paying for Microsoft 365 for everybody, and seeing if there was a way that we could, if there's another package besides that. Because I think we talked about it that day, all of us have our own contracts, for our own licenses. So paying $5 a month for each one of us every single month seems a bit much, and just to see if that's enough, if there's an option that we could just trim that at all, to see if there's, because obviously we need our email addresses, but it seems like it's a bit excessive to pay for an entire Microsoft 365 license for everybody. Just an email address. So, I don't know.
We'll find out.
Yeah, you can just ask Mark and
Because
see
I mean,
what they.
it's $5 a license per month, and I mean, I know that's not a lot, but that adds up because I think it says we have 17 licenses or something, that we pay for every month, so I don't.
So that would just be for the before.
I don't even, you have a license for Microsoft 365. I
I use it, but
Yeah.
so.
Because I mean, because also it's more than just, Word and Excel and everything, it's a lot of, your OneDrive, you get terabyte of cloud storage and all that stuff. But I have a family membership that I pay for like, it's a pay till 2026, so.
What you just have to be careful of, I think, and probably is just making sure from a personal to a,
Oh, yeah, I mean, there's
just
a little bit.
make
more
sure,
they can do.
so make sure when you talk to Mark about that, that that's the reason
I'll
they
see
did
him
that.
either Thursday or Friday. He comes in either day, but
It was just, I was kind of surprised.
I might
that,
email him and ask.
I think it's a nice gesture to do something like that. However, I like to keep business, and personal, personal.
I
Quite
just,
frankly.
yeah, and I was inquiring about it.
Okay, I was unaware that I had the ability to use a separate Microsoft. I don't even know how to do it. So maybe Mark could show me or someone. And Mayor, the one more question I had since we're on the budget is, do we have an update on the status of when our last year's audit will be, moving to completion?
Yes, if you want to give her an update on that.
We're still working on it, Julie and I are still chugging along on that.
I mean, is there any particular holdup?
It's just a lot of requests by the auditors. Julianne's got a little more background with answering some of their questions than I do right now, so I've been relying on her a lot to steer me in the right direction. So we're dealing with that.
My understanding though is that we're
I think kind of
called, but my understanding is it's coming into a final, right?
I'm pretty sure, yeah, I think we're
That they should
getting down there, yeah.
And that's something I think that as we go into this next year, we need to really look into this because every single year, y'all are bombarded with all of these questions, and I know they've got them, but it should be a standard amount of questions, and it just seems like it just extends it out, and we're not the only ones. I know there's somebody else, a community close by that they also work with, and they're even further behind than we are. And it's the same thing, it's these additional questions, and at some point, you've got to be able to here it all is,
Yeah, they're very thorough. I'll
Yeah.
say that.
And they are, and that's good, and we
Yeah.
want that, but
They
I
start
just,
the audit order earlier, don't they wait until March to start or something? It seems like, I don't know why we're not.
Well, it starts around January, they send
Yeah.
us this list of 80 requests.
the first 80,
The first day, yeah, correct, first
It
day.
seems like
the first
it
80,
should start December maybe.
and that's why I
Part of the
said,
challenge is every year has been someone new receiving that list. Like,
So,
so where is all this stuff?
From our end, as far as.
On our side, yeah.
Well, but Mayor, because as I understand, part of our challenges is that we've had different finance directors
that's
who
what I
deal
just
with
said. That's what I said.
well, not just receiving the questions, but putting money in places where it didn't necessarily belong. And,
A couple were not, didn't think, understand why they did it.
right, so that's gonna occasion more questions, things have to add up, obviously. So if they weren't allocated correctly in the first place, I think it sounds to me like it makes the auditing job more difficult. Then there was, when we had Clarion, we were tremendously late with the audit, and, it would be nice if we had some idea of when it would be done, because it's due June 30th. And, we're in an in-between period,
Steve,
but,
you're new at this.
right, if he doesn't know, he doesn't know.
And
But we're gonna be several months earlier than last year.
so,
That's what it
just
is.
stick with it. I think Julia, I just hear nothing but good things, and,
Very helpful. We
and I know
appreciate
you're
it,
gonna work to
Steve.
get it done sooner than later.
Don't leave.
That's all I can
No,
say.
and this is great for you, I mean, you're learning it basically from the ground up,
Oh, yeah.
So this is great, we appreciate, what you're doing. Charles, how many applications do you have so far, is it 5, 6?
I think there's six.
Looks like Mr. Garner's coming out of retirement.
Yeah, you.
We just, yeah,
Okay, so these are the 6 that we received in the email, and this is
This came
Mr. Clark,
Seven.
right?
So that's the 7th one.
it's like he was an interim in Palaca.
Yeah.
He was, and
2019.
he made the top 3 cut here when Michael Esposito when Michael was chosen.
Alright.
He applied here too, and he made the top 3.
Right, well, where did
Could you send
he,
me a copy of the ad that you put in? It was on the ICCMA.
It's on FCC, yeah,
Okay, I was just,
it's
right,
just very brief, just look for an interim.
so Mary, just to make sure we're all up to date on where Mr. Garner was, I mean, he was at the last 3 League of Cities conferences before this one. He served 2.5 years as the city manager for the town of Sneads. After we interviewed him and he was the interim, he was in Sneads for 2.5 years and showing up to conferences, it's amazing.
Yeah, he's a neat man, he really is. So,
Very articulate.
very.
but we're talking about that all Wednesday, so.
Is that Wednesday at what time?
1 o'clock.
But Wednesday is at 1.
Yeah, Wednesday's at 1 o'clock. Also, it's my understanding that they did not do, the 40 years for Harry. Did they say they were gonna send it? If not, I'll get with Betsy and make sure. I'll talk to Betsy about it.
If you coordinate with Erin Russell, I talked to her about it, and she searched to figure out what we were talking about, or what was supposed to be done. And I told her that he would be retiring this year, and that we would like to do something, and she said, keep it for our clerk to talk to her, but,
Okay, I'll talk to Betsy too, yes.
But I think,
because they would, they'll do something.
if I'm not mistaken, he received already the 40-year certificate.
Or was it?
I think because Aaron delivered a certificate to Judy West and Harry a couple of years ago. This would be something related.
So I believe Florida League of Cities is in Palatka in September. I mean, North Florida League of Cities, I believe it's in Palatka, so maybe we can do something for him, since it's close proximity. We can do something there and acknowledging there for everybody too, because that's
Well,
monumental.
Right,
Erin said she'd come here.
right, a staff member came.
And we could do that, he'll be here through November, up
Right.
until November, so,
And we need to do it, key the city or something.
yeah,
So it would be nice if FLC.
we need to think about that and do something,
Yes. Oh, Commissioner Lori mentioned, key. You heard that, okay.
Okay, is there anything else? Okay, with that,
See you Wednesday.
we'll see everybody on Wednesday.
Commissioner Burton, thank you so much for asking me what time.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that 1
Yes.
o'clock